So next up, we're going to be checking out I Did a Thing. Putting a homemade jet engine on a swing. Yep. There's no way this doesn't end in probably violence. I don't even know whose violence it is, but someone's going to take it. And I'm here for it. Let's find out.
How you going? You ever seen the Space Shuttle Challenger launch? It was sick and successfully launched 7 hours.
I mean, I'm glad he said launch, but it was the Challenger. Oh, the Challenger's the one that blew up, and Atlantis was the one that survived. I forgot which one crashed on the way down.
Astronauts into the sky. And I want to do that with a jet engine on a swing. But
yeah, no, he was referencing the one that blew up on the way out. Oh, I'm sure it'll work out fine.
I don't have enough space to do all the
survived
big
to upload
dumb
it.
projects I want to do.
Why is it curved? Why is he dragging a table?
Until now. And I've bought my dream house. And even paid extra to get a kitchen, 2 bathrooms.
Does anyone else find it incredibly disturbing that he said kitchen and immediately looked at a toilet?
And high ceilings. And look at all this space.
I mean, can you imagine a house like that? That must cost in the American market at least $50 million. Actually, depending on where you're at, it might not even be wrong. If you had that on Martha's Vineyard, it probably would be $50 million. I know for a fact, when I was house hunting, I saw a house that looked like that, in that shape, and it was $170,000. I did not buy it.
It's such a liberating feeling being able to chuck a rock anywhere you want. Where the only thing I have to worry about hitting is an endangered bird.
See, what's the fun in that one? It's always great to chuck a rock wherever you want. Just make sure you're aiming at people you don't like, because then you don't have to worry about the outcome, because the blunt force trauma will make sure they never remember.
And that tree, and that tree, and that tree, this log, and even this poo. And this 100 acres of pristine Aussie bush.
Oh, he's Australian. Suddenly this makes more sense.
Is filled with beautiful animals and plants, and also has more than enough room for a jet engine on a swing. Which might just burn the whole place down. So despite...
I'm sorry, what? How does that even work when they're both pointing out the back? And they're both burning out the back.
So despite what people say, making a jet engine is actually pretty easy. See this jar with a hole in the top? It's not only a flashlight, but a jet engine. Don't believe me? Watch.
I'm sorry, what? He said flashlight, right?
Jar with a hole in the top? It's not only a flashlight, but a jet engine. Don't...
Flashlight. 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 Okay, that's a lot less disturbing. I thought he was going even more degenerate than I was expecting.
Believe me? Watch.
Why did he pick it up? Why do you pick up the burning jar? I don't...
Yeah. No. Alright, you're just going to have to believe me. And that's the simplest version, and then the jars get more and more complicated, like this and this. But despite how much these people will try to convince you, no one actually knows how they work. And all these scientists, they're just going along with it, because they don't want to seem dumb and ask the wrong questions and lose their job. Which is...
What do they think they are, Tesla? Oh...
Why I'm not going to complicate things and get anyone fired, and just make a pulse jet, which is essentially a metal version of this broken jar. You have the combustion chamber here, which when the gas ignites, it pushes out here and here. But because the gas takes longer to come out of this section, it pulses back in or something and the ignition continues for some reason. And this unexplainable process gives you heaps of thrust, like enough to become a Nazi and bomb England from over 400 k's away, which is perfect for me. So I'm going to copy famous...
Okay. I'm just referring to Space Runner going, he is a joke. Yeah, and Casper just going, you bet I will lose hair on this. Or from this even.
Englishman Colin Furs, as his pulse jet looks fairly simple, but I've decided to upscale my design by exactly 1% just so I can say it's bigger than his. Also, I haven't figured out the swinging part yet, I'll just work that out later. Alright, I started by cutting out this 1.
How is it that this guy is both the most Australian person I've ever met, but also someone who perfectly fits the American redneck aesthetic? Maybe it's just me, but yeah, having random tools that you're power grinding right on top of things that are definitely flammable. Like, oh, this looks like a bad idea. This is so... I'm going to make moonshine out of a rocket engine. You know, I said that out loud, but there's probably actually a video of exactly that at this point.
6mm sheet metal, which for those following along at home is this big. But now I have to turn this flat piece into a round section.
Turn the flats into a round, and the round into the flats, then flats and the rounds, the flat, the rounds, the round, the flats.
Well. That is not going to line up. Neither did
you
the
just
second.
Cut and weld.
Together, please.
But after using the vise, I eventually got this, which I tacked together. Then I cut out
Spark
and rolled
welder.
these tailpipe sections, which was a little harder.
Why is he bending them that way? I thought the main way you bent sheet metal was by getting a roller. Or is he just doing it because workout?
Yes, yes. I'm fine.
Why? Okay, yes, I know. There's probably someone who paused here, and there's probably great video retention when he did this because, ooh, feet. But I'm just going like, look at every bit of metal shaving on that table, even as a joke, man. Like, there's a freaking buzzsaw blade right there. I know this isn't a workplace, but there's probably someone from OSHA who's seeing this and having a heart attack, realizing they're not in this country, and then feeling suddenly massively relieved.
Eventually I got this together by using the most ratchet of straps to pull it.
I mean, if
So
it
after
works, it ain't
tacking
dumb.
Together, I need to weld everything by using the most ratchet of straps to pull it. So after
You're ratcheting the end right next to the strap holding it, which is flammable. I don't even... Dramatic effects going, this is styropyro without safety regulations. It's like he has a very Australian accent, but it's like, oh, but he's pretty steady about it. And like, while he's showing is kind of insane. It just... He's an unusually tall hobbit. Yeah. And Quantum Fang just pointed out in the chat, they cut their foot on an unplugged saw before. 12 stitches.
tacking it together, I need to weld everything up. And after doing a practiced weld
You know, I just realized half of my channel now is, damn, science, you scary.
on some scrap to make sure I don't screw it up,
Yeah,
Pretty good.
that's smart.
I'm good to go.
Oh, he does have gloves for the welding, too. As long as he has a...
And this was a lot of welding,
Eyepiece.
and really made me realize how bad I am at following plans. I don't think I ever successfully welded a piece first go, and it was a long process of welding and cutting my own welds,
I mean, he has a
putting
blast
them back
shield.
down, and then using a hammer to persuade the pieces into place. And eventually I got these two pieces,
I mean, if it works, it's not dumb.
and a mad welding tan. So after I ground down one of the edges on the missile
Did you just
shaped
cut his
piece,
hair? Yeah,
I
that makes
welded
sense.
it to the trumpet piece. And nothing I do comes together without gaps. But the good thing about having the worst welds on the internet is that I can just fill the gaps with more ugly welds and no one expects anything less. But I'm pretty happy. The welds are mostly solid, except for here where I welded around my thumb. And also the whole thing is slightly off center, but it shouldn't here where I welded around my thumb.
For fun, or did you just forget? I don't... But that... I don't... And apparently Quantum, about the sauce, that they missed the vein by 1 millimeter. I'm glad I missed. You're a cool guy, Quantum. But also, don't go around sauce anymore. And Siren in the chat going, yep, this is Australia. Yeah. Damn,
And also the whole
Australia,
thing
you
is slightly
scary.
off center, but it shouldn't matter. Now I just need to run the fuel line. So I got this pipe and welded a bolt in the end to make it airtight, then drilled some holes to make it air loose for the gas to come out. But these aren't randomly placed
So we have to tighten the loose and loosen the tights. Got it.
holes. They are very special. I'm hoping that if I put the holes in the same direction as the nozzle, when I crank up the gas, it will pull in the air in a phenomena called the Vitruvian Man, which will ignite and hopefully self-start and eliminate me needing a leaf blower like all these idiots. Like Colin Furs has made over 10 of these pulse jets and never made a self-igniting one, which is just embarrassing. And there you go, the pipe should be in the center of the inlet, which it looks like it is. So it's time to give it a first go, and I'm
That's not a very bright camera.
slightly concerned that the pulse jet might just melt itself as it's only made out of mild steel. If I was a better welder, I would have made it out of stainless steel, just like this beautiful card from Revolut. Revolut is an all-in-one financial super app designed to
Just going randomly throughout there. As someone whose credit card is literally tearing itself apart. Yeah, that actually is not a bad idea.
including this beautiful building this jet engine. The best part is you build one test, learn campaign code over the world, and it can transact and pretty hand down Ashian people or scan and chucking some weight code to learn more. Alright, back to the jet engine. And after watering down the grass and chucking
Glass? I guess it's around a pool. I've never seen that before. I'd almost assume this would come pre-broken.
some weights on top, we turned on the gas.
My welds aren't the best. I can see sunlight coming through.
Ready? Yep.
It sounds like a disturbed little
And
kid.
nothing happened.
Oh,
Okay, turn it off.
it says like maybe a safety shut off.
So we removed the pesky safety valve put in by the government to throttle your Saturday night barbecuing experience.
You know, everything goes better when you remove the safeties.
And tried again with just a sparkler in the combustion chamber.
They put a sparkle. What? Oh no.
Yeah, it's in there. Whoa.
It worked. They have a barbecue now.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, turn it off.
And it's not self-starting, so we tried with a leaf blower.
Where my junior is at? I don't want you
Yeah.
smoking.
That's lame.
What?
Where my junior is at? I don't want you
Yeah.
smoking.
That's lame.
Smart move. Just leaving. What is he burning himself on?
Yep.
I'd like to point out they have all the flames right next to a entire wall of flammable things. I just my only experience with Australians is Netrix prior to this, so maybe I should be scared of the country. Maybe. That seems like the smart choice.
And it started to rumble but still wouldn't kick. And I think my holes are the problem, or the lack of them. So I drilled some more and turned it perpendicular to the inlet and welded that in. I also fixed some of the leaking holes in the combustion chamber. And I do owe Colin an apology. I've also failed to make a self-starting pulse jet engine. You're not an idiot, we both are. I'm still convinced you're making a sex dungeon under your house though.
I was going to ask if this is the kind of person who I would find on a documentary because of that last comment, but then I realized that actually is not a joke and people have actually done that before. So there's an entire possibility. The answer would be, yeah, and here's where you can find it. And I'd rather avoid that. Also, just to quote chat, you should be in fear of that place because they have drop bears. Antiquarian Awakening, Martin. Yeah.
It started.
I heard it.
It
I
started.
got scared. I turned it off.
Right.
Wait, what do I do when it's at that sound?
When it actually goes boom, you'll say I'll move away. Leave it for like a second unless it like flies. If it starts to move, turn it
If
off.
it starts to move, move, I'm not gonna be here, Alex.
No, if it starts to move. Whoa, that was it.
Oh, you actually saw the pressure on that one. See if you could. It actually rippled the grass back here. And it wasn't just burning, it was actually shooting out pressure too.
Whoa, that was it.
I don't like it.
It did it.
I don't like it.
Oh.
I don't like it.
You saw it move?
Yes.
And that time it sounded like it was about to go, but my housemate was too scared and kept turning it off. So I got back my mate
Smart
who doesn't
move!
care as much about our safety and gave it another go.
It shook the camera so much based on the reverberations echoing the other direction that you could see the vibrations in the actual camera that's probably mounted. How many times has this guy had to buy new walls in his house? This isn't a random field. Like, honestly, him buying that random shack at the beginning joke, I'm hoping was a joke. No, actually, never mind. I take that back. I'm hoping it was serious because I think he needs that.
That is fucked. That is so loud. That is fucked.
It's like a jet engine.
You
Oh.
should stop running that.
Holy.
Cut it off now, Alex.
Yeah, that's too loud.
And we only had that on for a couple of seconds, but it was still the loudest thing my poor ears and neighbors' ears have ever had come inside them.
Oh, in other words, he definitely got a noise complaint.
It also made me stim for some reason. And it was around 140 decibels, which is louder than a passenger plane taking off right here on my deck. And the simplicity of this is beautiful. No moving parts, just sheet metal in the shape of a trumpet with a barbecue gas bottle. There is really no reason for every man, woman and child watching right now not to go and make one of these. They are seriously the most fun you can have as a 14.
I mean, to be fair, if I could randomly weld things safely, I'd make jet engines. I'm not saying I would. But I know every other one of my family members would have already done, so I've had my pick of them already made to try and play with. Yeah, I have a gearhead family. That's a thing. Also, sound like a little thing in my throat. 1 second. Earlier I mentioned I have a gearhead family. I just realized my joke about them making this if they knew about it is probably not a joke, and I must never let them find out about this video. They all live in very flammable locations, and I know for a fact they don't think of safety precautions.
10-year-old living in a crowded urban neighborhood. But I reckon if I ran this any longer, the cops would come and take it for themselves to play with. So I'm stopping.
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to continue using sparklers to ignite this thing. I want to feel more fancy and have buttons. And I could use an ignition coil to light it, but I thought it would be more fun to use a taser. And here's a hot tip for you kids. Tasers are illegal in Australia, but you can still buy them. They're
Really? Tasers are illegal. Not what I was expecting, but okay.
just called cattle prods, which is illegal unless you have animals to prod. But in all seriousness, I'm getting chickens on the property, so I'm going to need this. So all I did was buy
You know, I've seen enough chickens that are absolutely vicious. That doesn't even sound like a joke to me anymore.
I pass the battery and switch it of the taser and connect it to this relay. And now when I press this button, it should work.
Yep.
And kids, once again, this is the perfect setup if you want to make a bomb. And then weld it in the spark plug.
This is the great thing about being a bad welder. We can hook cables onto them. Look at that.
If it works.
So when I press this, we should hear it go off. Why do I hear gas? We should see this go off. Yes. Yes.
All
Why was the
now
gas
if I'm
going?
sitting on the jet engine, I can turn the
He plans to sit on this? I'm sorry, this is going to be human moving. Why do I feel like I'm about to watch a man commit not live?
gas on and off. But what happens if I fly off? Or even worse, what if my clothes fly off? Then I won't have a way to stop the jet engine from flying out of control. so I'm going to make it wireless. So I bought this solenoid
Why?
and this brass fitting that precisely don't fit my gas pipe. So I just welded it.
You welded the plastic. He welded the plastic.
Does not work.
And I melted the brass. So instead I cut off some hose and stuck that on the end as an adapter, which works nicely. And now I also have the world's first lockable childproof bowl.
Okay. That is
What's this?
What do you mean?
Alex. I thought we said you wouldn't have any more drug paraphernalia in the house.
I didn't make it.
Alex, this is in the garage.
I did
you
not.
Said you were not. Gonna
I
have
did
this in
not
here.
make this.
What do you mean?
I didn't make it. He made it.
Is this true? He did it.
He did it. And now when I press this button, gas should come out. And this is weird. I can hear it, but I can't see it. So either there's a snake in the pipe
Or it's
the
gas.
guy gave me invisible gas.
Fuck me.
Okay, the ignition works well. And after pissing off everyone in the neighborhood with the noise,
He's doing this in his garage. You know, the place where there's a lot of things where if he accidentally ignited and it did actually go off, you know. There's a lot of things that, with the kind of force it was moving earlier, if he accidentally went to that step, it would go everywhere. I'm sure that's fine. It's not like there's an actual can of explosive next to it, right behind it even.
of this thing, you'd think I'd stop here, but no, I want to be in a Neighbours from Hell episode. So I'm going to make a thrust augmenter. And it's a funnel thing that goes on either one of the exhausts, and for some reason it's meant to add more thrust. But again, it's one of those things in the rocket world where people say it works, but no one can tell me how. Like if this actually worked, surely I could just stack another augmenter on this one, and then another, and another, and another, and get ever-increasing thrust.
Doesn't it also depend on the amount of air you can move out? Whatever.
So let's give it a go, but this time not in the suburbs. Alright, the self-ignition doesn't work, and I can't get it to start with the augmenter, as it's in the way of the blower. So I just cut it off, and gave that a go, which still didn't work. But then I realised it was because I was out of gas, so I cut off the augmenter for no reason. And
So in other words, you need fuel to make things run. Ow. Bit my cheek. Ow.
after getting a new bottle, we gave it another go.
And it worked.
And I have heard whispers on the internet that if I tip the gas bottle upside down, something magical will happen.
What? That works?
And that liquid propane really makes it sound angry, and seems like it increases the thrust. Doing it at night seemed to help the thrust as well.
That was still on. I didn't realize I didn't turn it off.
Those are very scary words to hear. I'm just going to go back and listen to these words and tell me you're not having a panic attack.
That was still on. I didn't realize I didn't turn it off.
I didn't realize it was off. They're freaking making a jet engine with liquid propane propellant. And it's like, oh, I didn't turn it off. Oops. The better question is, who uploaded this posthumously? Because I don't see how someone survives putting this on a swing and rides it. Oh, wow. You see the heat building up here. That might actually just melt. Dude.
Now, it's time to move the pulse jet to the top of the hill.
Okay, just do not hit a tree, otherwise your head is gone.
Alright, now to work out the swing. And this can't be like your mum's sex swing. I need it to not fall apart under my weight. And originally I wanted to build 2 A-frames and have the swing on that. But I
No.
don't trust my welding enough. So I'm going to use God's A-frames, trees, which are super strong and don't fall over.
He
These
says
two
to
are
a
in the
fallen over
perfect
tree.
position with a clearing on this side, and on the other side, a nice bushy cliff covered in dry grass. So I got this pipe, which has walls 3 mil thick, and secured it in place with these bearings, which I definitely remembered to put on the pipe the first time. And I don't know if these bearings are strong enough, but I also don't care. Then I just welded some arms on the top of the engine with support running to the frame, which is made out of steel, as I've heard it's good at holding up against jet fuel. And the reason
Considering he's attaching everything directly to the engine, and we saw how hot the engine got, how strong are his welds? Because I thought welding was actually incredibly durable, but maybe, I don't know. It'd be really bad if it just melted off. Or maybe it wasn't connected and the extra heat warped the pieces so they came off, or the metal itself came off because of some weakening. I don't know. Doesn't look like he burned through, but I don't know.
I need the extra support is if I just secure it on the top like this, I'm sure that spinning jet engine will just peel itself apart. So instead I have the arms running to the frame and then the frame running all the way to the bottom. Then also just reinforced all the welds while also making sure I keep the camera in a way where it doesn't reveal the location of my property to any of you freaks. Alright, now to see if it
Considering how good people are at GeoGuessr, they might have already guessed by now.
fits, which it does.
It's a good thing none
if
of
I
this
leave
is
my car
flammable.
here, but now I'm stuck.
So what are we going to do? Deflate the tires.
I think we'll deflate the tires.
Let's see.
We're free.
And if I just tried to run it like this, I don't think it would do 360s, as it would probably just get to like 45 degrees and then just stop. So originally I thought I could get like 5 meters of spear gun rubber and slingshot it to start it off. But then I realized I should just copy what I did in my intro and put a counterweight on top so it really wants to spin.
Oh, he's probably making a joke about something he hasn't filmed yet, yeah.
Too much leverage when you lift your arms out.
Maybe if I go
And if you guys have never experienced having a steel pole in between your cheeks while also holding 20 kilos above your head, you definitely have to try it. It's a fantastic feeling.
That is what I would call the I'm not having kids method. Or, you know, it's like self-honey badgering yourself. For anyone here at the beginning of the stream, that makes sense. For anyone else, do not look it up.
When I got down though, we realized we could have just rotated the jet to put the weights on. Also,
Yeah,
I
that'd be
realized
easier.
another thing about the spinning I didn't consider. When the jet engine is upside down, it's going to run on liquid propane. So it'll be cycling between liquid and gas, giving it a lot more thrust, but will also put a lot of stress on the solenoid, which is not meant to run on cold liquid propane, which means
Also, with how much that bar in the middle is bending already, that thing is going to give out.
it could blow up or get stuck in the open position, which is why I got rid of the Chinese solenoid and switched it with this beefy one. And it being Chinese has nothing to do with it, this one just has a bigger hole. Then I just bolted
That's
on a
what she
chair
said.
for me to sit on and put the electronics in a box.
Why
And
do you
it's
draw a
done.
face on
and
the
after
neck?
a visit to the car park of an event cinema movie theater, I should have enough fire extinguishers to do the first test.
See, that's an obvious joke. There's no car park cinemas that actually have fire extinguishers. They expect you just to die.
But just to be sure we don't burn everything down, we also stole the neighbor's generator and made a firefighting setup.
Yeah.
And there's nothing left but to do it. And this is probably the most scared I've ever been before turning on one of my dumb devices.
This is already bending under the weight, and it's going to be pushed a lot faster, a lot harder. It is going to come off before the jet stops.
So what's our plan? Our plan is
Oh my
we're-
god, I
we're
just
both running just and hiding behind that tree.
Yeah, behind that tree there.
run faster.
And it wouldn't start, even though nothing has changed since we did the other tests. So we tried different sized gas bottles, thinking that that could have been the issue. And and we also tried moving the bottle position around.
Fire in the hole!
Why do you do these things?
Why did that happen?
It sounds horrible.
And even though we got it started once, it wouldn't stay on. So we tried a couple more times.
Wonder why not.
I don't know, is this a good idea?
But then called it a night. We decided to try again in the morning with a plan.
I wonder if it has something to do with the switch between the liquid and gas propane. But you think it would be the other way around, where if it went from liquid to gas, it would lose potency and not become powerful? Or does it flood it for some reason? I don't actually know. I'm not nearly this good about jet engines to figure out anything about this.
In the morning, we got up and went to a car dealership and installed a TV for them.
Why?
Did a much better job at this than the jet engine. First go.
Why they installed a TV?
Then, once we had done that, we tried the jet engine again.
I have so many questions.
Why?
Are they out of gas
Which
again?
still wouldn't work. But then we realized that the solenoid was probably the problem. As you know how earlier I said that nothing had changed
Took off
from
the
our
safety.
stationary test before? One thing did. The length of this hose, which doesn't seem like it would make a difference, but because it's shorter now, there might be less resistance on the solenoid and the gas can pass through easier. So we did something you're definitely not meant to do and put a kink in the gas pipe, which will hopefully build up more pressure and force the solenoid to open all the way.
And he missed.
And that was the best so far, but I want it to spin for as long as we tell it to. So we crimped the hose a little harder and gave it another go.
I think I'm just going to take clips of this and show it to family members whenever they piss me off. So I have a really good example of, hey, you want to have a panic attack? Have fun! Because I am feeling like that right now. And I know for a fact, if I show it to a lot of different people in my family, they will panic and just admittedly start using some very colorful language I will need to take notes of, because some of it's not in English, and I would actually prefer to have that down in documentation. Dude. You can see the boost at the top when it moves to liquid. Is it speeding up? You know what? I actually thought this bar would give out, but apparently it's sticking.
And that worked so much better than I could have ever hoped. Nothing broke, blew up, or got burnt, and it spun continuously until we switched it off. So we tried again, but this time with the bottle fully tilted so it runs on liquid for longer.
Am I Mr. Sparkle?
Sparkle. That's been the magic touch, so let's keep with it.
Dude. Is it going faster than before? Oh, it is.
And that was significantly louder and faster than the others, but it still wasn't running on liquid the whole time. You could hear it going on and off, and I think it's because it's spinning, the liquid is getting pulled to the bottom edge like water in a bucket and not coming out. So we waited till night and decided to try a new tank with more liquid propane in it and give that a go.
I'm actually a little surprised. I fully expected something to blow up or catch on fire by now, or to freaking break the beam right in the middle. Nice that it didn't break, but on the other hand, I'm just waiting to see if maybe they're saving that for the end. Mad lad. And I mean mad in the most insane way possible.
No, it was spraying liquid propane onto you. Get away from it, get away from it.
And we almost set ourselves on fire, so we tried again with the bottle at 45 degrees.
I'm sorry, it was doing what? They literally doused themselves in liquid propane. He didn't notice, and then they were going to try and light a jet engine. Hi everyone, welcome to Airier's Styropyro is apparently much more down-to-earth and rational than I realized series of videos, in which my faith in humanity is both raised to the level of orcs and then dropped to the level of orcs.
And then we almost blew the jet engine up.
Because it was spraying everywhere, so there's probably still some on, and if they had lit that on fire, oh, that is how people stop living.
So we tried one last time before finally getting the shot I wanted, and also letting you hear the drop of this song.
Oh! Because the entire time they'd be playing the song in the background, but never go into the drop of the big bass. Yeah. Dude. Is it speeding up still? Yeah, it is. That's a jet-powered swing. You can actually see as the front of it is getting visibly hot. Like, you don't even need a thermal camera. You can see the heat. And
this is by far the best thing I've ever made and most fun I've ever had filming a video. But there's also zero chance I'm ever going to sit on this thing. Go make a pulse jet, kids, and do it yourself.
I'm pretty sure someone on the salt flats probably has. Because there's entire competitions of making vehicles to see how fast they can go on a perfectly flat, straight land mass that is essentially the Utah salt flats. Not sure if that would involve with or without water, though. That's the weird part. But yeah. Can we all acknowledge the fact that he had fire dripping onto the propane tank multiple times after they had mentioned it had been spraying liquid propane on them and everything around it? Because... Now, I might not be a rocket scientist, but I think dousing yourself in propane and then lighting a match is bad. Don't do that at home. Or apparently in the middle of the Australian woods.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like that, please subscribe and check out some of my other videos.
Yeah, he got a like for that one. So I had never seen I Did a Thing before. And I can successfully say, or partially say, or insanity say, now I have seen I Did a Thing. And it did look really freaking cool. It really did. But also every step of the way was just the equivalent of going, okay, let's see if this kills us now. Yeah. I don't know how to engage with it because it's so there, man. What there is, I don't even know, but it's definitely there. And when I find out, I'll probably need to start seeking therapy. You guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Do not copy this man. In fact, find out exactly what he did. Do something different. But fully acknowledge that did actually look really awesome. And if someone did make a rocket-powered car based on this, and they just had it on like a skis, so it would actually glide across water on the salt flats when there was like that layer of water, because apparently sometimes when it rains, there is almost an invisible lake effect on it, and it's amazing. Yeah, essentially you're making the Junkrat special, according to Bill Larson. Yeah, Junkrat IRL. Yeah, if that would be a thing, let me know, because I'm now terrified of this man, in Australia in general. Yeah. Oh boy, am I that? Yeah, indeed. So if you haven't, links below. Hit them up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.